That's easy to do. But any excuse you give yourself not to take action in the moment is going to be a huge obstacle, right? Like we think, oh, there's actually a great Jim Rohn quote where he says, "What's easy to do is easy not to do." And those little easy things that seem so simple, like, oh, tomorrow guy can take care of that. And we're going to share an example from Jerry Seinfeld that's hilarious. But tomorrow guy can take care of that. But then tomorrow guy really isn't ready to take care of that. He's like, why did you leave this for me? And he goes back to sleep instead of going running. Welcome back to Habit Masters. I'm Jeff.
I'm Sheldon.
And today we want to share with you an idea about Action Catalyst. I know we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now. It's finally here. We said November, now it's December. But hey, nobody's counting, right? You're probably listening to this whenever. But an Action Catalyst is one of the most powerful tools we've ever found at keeping consistency with our habits, because it makes the action you're taking, that action that's taking you towards your dream that we've been talking about all this time, so much easier to do in the moment.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things that are stopping you from doing that. And we're going to share with you some ideas today that will help you make it easy.
Yeah. Let's start with what is a catalyst, because we've talked about action triggers and catalysts. So in the simplest form, a catalyst, physics, it lowers the amount of energy that it takes to make the transformation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we give a catalyst to something, it makes it easier to do the thing, right? So maybe a good story of this. Give us a good example of an action catalyst. Maybe we should just start with an example or two, Jeff.
Yes. So in my own life, I'll take running, for example. I have often run and when you get into a routine of running, right, you always think, okay, I'm going to go running tomorrow. You've set up the action plan, which we've already talked about, action triggers. So action triggers and action catalysts are a little bit different. An action trigger is the plan, the who, what, when, where of what you're going to do. So this is when I'm going to do my action. This is how I'm going to do it. All those things. The action catalyst is the preparation to get that done. So to give you one more example of that, it's kind of the gift to your future self. It's like, okay, if I'm going to go running in the morning, the gift to my future self is to leave out my running clothes by the door with my running shoes all set up, ready to go. If I looked at the weather beforehand, I know what's going to happen tomorrow morning, 99% chance, and I'm ready when that happens. So that when I wake up, and even though last night I was super motivated to go running, I wake up in the morning and I'm not motivated to go running. Now at least I have no more obstacles other than, okay, I just got to put on my clothes. They're ready to go, right? Mm-hmm. My neighbor's waiting for me outside, my running partner, and it's time to go, and it's no longer an issue. The decision is already made. So it's kind of the pre-decision.
Yeah.
It's getting that set up so that when the time of decision comes, you don't have to make that decision. The emotion is taken out of it because you've already made the decision.
And so an action catalyst, it makes it easier, simpler to take the action, right? So another one, again, I like to work out. Me and my wife like to work out, and slowly over the time, I've made it lots easier to accomplish that feat, right? I used to work out at the gym with a coworker, so we did some stuff similar to make sure that happened at work. But once COVID hit, staying at home, so I've acquired, I've done everything from I got a TV and put it down in the area where we work out that's connected to YouTube. We do YouTube videos, right? Like all these little steps so that literally the only thing we have to do is walk downstairs and do our exercise, right? It's like if you think about any goal you want in life, any achievement, any daily action, there's still like 50 micro steps that it takes to do that action. Right. Mm-hmm. So you're doing the first 5 out of the 50 micro actions. So it's just that much easier to take your action every single day, to move toward your goals and dreams every single day, because whatever action that you're taking to move there, you've already done 10% of it. It's just, like you said, a gift to your future self.
Yeah. And the reason, that's a perfect example, Sheldon. And the reason this is so valuable for you in creating habits towards your bigger dreams is that human psychology is working against you with all of these goals, because you may think, oh, like getting my running clothes out of the drawer in the morning, that's easy to do. But any excuse you give yourself not to take action in the moment is going to be a huge obstacle, right? Like we think, oh, there's actually a great Jim Rohn quote where he says, What's easy to do is easy not to do. And those little easy things that seem so simple, like, oh, tomorrow guy can take care of that. And we're going to share an example from Jerry Seinfeld that's hilarious. But tomorrow guy can take care of that. But then tomorrow guy really isn't ready to take care of that. He's like, why did you leave this for me? And he goes back to sleep instead of going running. Right? Or he doesn't go exercise because he's just like, yeah, that's this little tiny obstacle that seemed small yesterday now seems huge when I'm tired and not emotionally like raring to go. There's another example we want to steal from the Switch by Chip and Dan Heath. It's a great book. One of the examples they share about this and how human psychology works is they had a car wash that was doing a kind of a study with loyalty cards. And they put out 2 sets of loyalty cards. The first set of loyalty cards was 8 stamps. The second set of loyalty cards, and you got a free car wash, right? And then the second set of loyalty cards was 10 stamps, and you got a free car wash, but they had already stamped 2 of the stamps.
And so exactly the same. It's just psychologically speaking, one, you're starting from ground zero, and the second, you're already 2 in.
Yeah, so even though they both had 8 stamps to collect to get the reward, you can imagine what happened. So the first group with 8 stamps, 19% of them completed the task and got the free reward. Of the second group that got 10 stamp card with 2 stamps already stamped, so they were part of the way there, they actually 34% of them completed it, and they did it in a shorter period of time. So you saw an enormous jump, a 15% jump in completion of the task, and not just completion, but a lot sooner than the other group. And that is how your brain is working with these little problems. If you give yourself just a little bit of a nudge, say, I've already completed part of this task, you don't want to give that up. You're like, but I've already done some of it, so I should definitely still do it, right? Like
this is the classic example of like using psychology for you rather than against you, right? I think we underestimate how important the little things actually are.
Mm-hmm.
Like the little things of making something simpler or harder make a huge difference. I mean, I'm in marketing. Take Amazon, take the shopping cart. You can't imagine how making like within digital marketing, if the shopping cart is difficult, the people who will not buy skyrockets. Mm-hmm. Amazon has spent so much money making it so simple that you have one click, buy it now. That has made them billions of dollars.
I love that one click buy now
so
button.
Much simple. Yeah, right.
And I was telling Sheldon, it's kind of the same thing. Like when I can use Apple Pay on something and I don't have to enter all my address and my name, my phone number, and all that stuff when I buy something online, I'm that much more likely to buy it.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's like, I don't want to have to go through 6 pages and enter all my information. So Amazon figured that out because psychologically, we just like to have part of it done. It's like, yeah. So give yourself a gift. Finish part of the task now while you're feeling motivated. And then when the time comes, you'll be that much more likely to do the action that you wanted to do in the first place.
I've got 2 examples. One of just like how the little things really are the big things. And then one that's like exactly what an action catalyst is. So one is for our dog, it's in the mudroom, right? And the kennel, the door used to swing open at the kennel to the middle of the room. And it was kind of in the way, and therefore like kids and everything, it would always get shut all the time, right? And it was always difficult to get the dog to go into the kennel, didn't really like it. So I took a screwdriver, bent off the little hinges, switched it around so it now opens toward the wall, and therefore it stays open all the time, right? I kid you not, all of a sudden the dog is in there more, it gets used correctly, the kids don't, you know what I mean? It's like that tiny little thing made all the difference, right? And so an action catalyst, that's just an example of how like the little things really are the big things. I think our whole life is full of this stuff, right? And we don't even realize it.
Yes.
But one is with playing the guitar, and you probably remember, Jeff, who this comes from. But the guy wanted to learn how to play guitar, and just wasn't doing it, trying to set up everything. And so finally, he did like a couple small things. One is instead of having it in the closet, he took it out of the closet and set it next to the sofa where he practiced, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think actually in the example, he puts it in the middle of the room. So he sees it all the time. It's
Yeah.
like right there, right? And the simpleness of not having to go and get it from the closet and having it just right there, accessible, front of mind, made all the difference in the world. Like that is an action catalyst. And I guarantee that whatever goal that you have, whatever action you're trying to take on a daily basis, there are little steps you can take to make it that much psychologically easier on yourself to get it done. It's like pulling the book out and putting it, you know, on the desk where you're going to have breakfast, or do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what
It's
it is, you can break it down to simpler steps and do the first few.
exactly. It's even like I know that there's a lot of, writers out there who they'll write the first sentence or even the first few sentences of what they want to write tomorrow before they go to bed. And then as soon as they wake up, boom, or as they're ending their writing for the previous day, then it's like, okay, I'm ready to go. So they've already written that first sentence, because that's sometimes starting is the very hardest part. Once you're in the work, you're like, all right, I'm doing this thing, and you're ready and raring, and even if it's difficult, you're willing to push through it because you've already invested time and energy. But starting, sometimes getting over that little hump, the catalyst, as we call it, right, is lowering the energy it takes to get that initial motion and really create the momentum you need to take on the task, whatever that task is for you, whether that's writing or whether it's playing the guitar, it's exercising, millions of things. The thing I was going to say is we all struggle with this. This is like there's because we honestly believe that the small things are small. But I would argue, and what Sheldon was just saying, to add to that, is the small things are the only things stopping us from our goals. It's not big things. It's never big things, because the only thing we can do is something small. So if we start eliminating some of those small steps, we can accomplish who knows what, right? We could see massive results. There's false beliefs that we like to share in some of these episodes. And there's some big ones that go along with this one. One is that you're always going to feel the way you do right now. It's like you're like, oh, I feel really like you're motivated and energized. And so, of course, tomorrow morning, I'm going to be motivated and energized to go running because I'm feeling really good right now. But everyone knows you do not wake up on the same side of the bed you went to sleep on, right? It's like, boom. That's why that word exists. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Well, chances are you woke up on the wrong side of the bed every day, right? You got to get back into sync. The second one is little obstacles don't keep me from taking action on my goals. But I would argue that if you've been waiting to do something for months, even years, it's likely because of some small thing that you've been unwilling to tackle up to this point, right?
Yeah.
Whatever that small thing is. And then the third one we like with this one is the little things don't make that much of a difference. And we've already harped on this quite a bit, but they definitely do. And psychology shows that they are absolutely the thing that makes the difference for us.
This is so simple, but I think so powerful. I challenge, if you're listening to this, to take the goal, take the thing, whatever it is you want to do, want to move toward, and literally write out all the actions, all the little actions it actually takes to do it, and pick some of them. Pick some that you can either do now, pick some that you can either simplify by preparing something down the road. I wish we had some audience members right now who could like give us a goal, like a random goal, and I guarantee we could find some action catalysts.
Absolutely. You guys, if you email us, we will set up a coaching call about this, and it'll be free, right? We'll set up a coaching call with you about your goal, and we'll help you create the action triggers, the identity around it, and some of these action catalyst pieces to help you realize what action, the simple action you can start taking to move you in the direction of your goal. Because this is so valuable. We're willing to spend, 30 minutes to an hour with you to share with you some insights on this. So if you want to talk with us about how to create these in your life, because we've done it a lot at this point, we can definitely help you do it. And I can promise you, you've already done this in the past. Yeah. It's just a matter of now consciously choosing it. And like Sheldon's saying, it starts with, and here's some examples of how to do this, right? A couple of things you can start to do to create catalysts in your life is, well, how can you make it more fun? A catalyst is making it more fun. So an example might be like, if making it more of like like playing music while you're while you're doing the dishes, right? Or something
That's
like
true.
that, right? Like having
Make the
some,
task more enjoyable.
yeah, make the task more enjoyable. Tie it to something that you really enjoy. Maybe a nice smell, maybe something to eat, whatever that looks like for you, something you like to wear. Okay, social accountability. This is another big one. Is connecting with somebody on this, and it doesn't have to be someone who's actually even running with you or playing the guitar with you. Just text them and say, hey, I played today. That's it, right? Like, just say, hey, I'm going to text you whenever I do this thing. And they don't even have to text you back necessarily. It's just you proving to the world that, hey, I'm tied to somebody. I've committed to this, not just to myself, but to another human being, because that infinitely ups your chances to make this happen. Public commitment's huge, right? Letting it out there into the world. So these are just a few ways that you can put action catalysts into your world, as well as the physical things, of course, of having things out where you can see them and making it easier access. Those are simple ones. So I don't want to give you too much of this. We've harped on it enough, but how do you want to wrap this up today, Sheldon?
Yeah. I have, yes, I have a thought, and then I'll ask you to share Seinfeld's nighttime
Oh,
guy
yes,
and
yes,
morning.
yes. Perfect. We have a couple more nuggets for you guys, and then we'll finish this up.
Yeah. So again, like this, we talk about identity a lot. This is a gift to your future self, right? It's that preparation that eliminates and minimizes any obstacles that are going to get in the way of your momentum of the action, right? And in tying this into identity, it's giving like a tangible evidence of commitment to this future you. Does that make sense? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's like
Proof.
it's proof that you've already started to do it, which I think psychologically speaking is huge, because this is the new person I want to be. These are the things I want to do. And it's a little bit of proof that that's really who I am, right? We've talked about this before. Do you
Yeah.
go out there and run for 5 weeks and then you can call yourself a runner? Or do you make that mental switch? Like, does your identity change and you go, I'm a runner, therefore you can start running? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you can change your identity, then the action follows identity first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a subtle thing that gives that identity the proof that this is really who I am. This is what I'm doing. This is the goal and the actions I take. I think psychologically, it is making it easier. Like you said, it's like instead of having to get the shoes out in the morning, it's like already ready for you. So yes, like physically it's easier for you, but psychologically, I think is the real benefit.
Mm-hmm. And you said on a previous episode, I think it was last episode actually, or the one before, that really it's like an investment, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
when you're really committed to something, you're investing your time, your energy, your money, whatever that looks like, into that thing. And
Yeah,
this is proof, like you said, or
that
evidence
you've invested.
that you've invested, that you've already assumed the new identity. It's not
Yeah.
like, oh, someday, like if we can get away from this idea that, oh, I'll write, when I write, I'll be a writer. It's like, no, write and be a writer now. Right? It's like, be that writer now, or be that guitar player, or be that runner, or be that healthy person, or be that, great spouse, be that great parent, whatever you want to be, you can be it right now.
Yeah.
You can put yourself in those shoes immediately. What's the simplest task you can take right now when you're in the motivated moment to be that new you? And I think that's a really valuable piece.
You know what I'm going to break down again? I know I've shared this multiple times, like trying to be a loving, attentive husband, spouse, right? Just realized that I need to come up with some action catalysts to make planning and making dates easier, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I love it.
less
Like,
of
I love
like
going on a date with
less of
my
a
wife,
chore
right?
and more
But
of a less of a chore and
yeah,
more of an
it was
exciting
like
thing.
going on a date is never a chore, even if it's as simple as like going grocery shopping together. Just because it's like we have 6 kids and life, it's like we have so much, right? But at
Yes.
the same time, it's like, so why doesn't it happen every single week? What is getting, why is it? I need to make it so simple. I already have some ideas.
I like this. He'll come back to us with his ideas. Or at least to me. You guys might hear it
Sure.
if we remember. Okay, so let me share with you a little Jerry Seinfeld bit that really fits nicely with this. This is Jerry Seinfeld. I'll just read it directly because it's hilarious. So he says, I saw an ad. I love this concept of no payments until June. People are like, oh, June. It will never be June. They buy things and say to themselves, the guy in June, he'll have money somehow. And I do that with myself. Like late at night, I think, well, it's night. I'm having a good time. I don't want to go to sleep. I'm night guy. Getting up after 5 hours of sleep, that's morning guy's problem. Let him worry about that. I'm night guy. I've got a party. Then you get up after 5 hours of sleep. You're cranky. You're exhausted. Night guy always screws morning guy. There's nothing morning guy can do to get back at night guy. The only thing morning guy can do is try to oversleep so many times that night guy loses his job and then night guy doesn't have it, or day guy loses his job and then night guy doesn't have any more money to go out.
It's like tired and unmotivated guy screws the motivated dreamer want to accomplish these things guy. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. It's like you and we do this to ourselves, right? We're binging Netflix, we're doing whatever, we're eating, we're eating ice cream late. It's just all these things that are sabotaging our future self. So instead, for once, now I'm not saying you have to correct everything at once, but give your future self a gift for once. Instead of a task or a chore or a headache, right? So, or bowel problems, whatever you want to say. So, okay, the action plan for today. So we'll wrap this up and give you guys here's what we suggest for you to get this started for you. Want to take it away, Sheldon?
So, especially if you've been following this, but even if you're brand new to this, you have a dream, you have a goal, steps to take you toward that dream and that goal. You have the action triggers, which is the who, what, where, when, and how. Got to have the plan, right? So now break it into all the micro steps, break it even further into all the little things that it takes to actually do that. And then pick 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 of those things that you can do beforehand, that you can do in preparation, because it's a gift, because you're already 20% done. You've already stamped the card. And then psychologically speaking, you've already done some of the work to assume that new identity. This is who you are. You've already done it. Do you know what I mean? So I guarantee you can break it down into 5, 2, 3, some things you can do now to gift your future self.
Yeah, because losing is more powerful than winning in the psychological sense. We hate to lose more than we like to win. So if you've already got those 2 stamps stamped on your card, you got to finish it off. You're like, well, I've already got 2 stamps. I don't want to lose that, right? Like, I don't want to lose money on this deal. So it's the same idea with this. It's like, well, I've already invested some time and energy into this. Use that psychology in your favor for once, because it's usually working against you. So you guys are great. You want to finish it off, Sheldon?
Sure. Thank you for listening. Please share if you like this. And seriously, we would love to hear some examples of goals and things. We'd love to brainstorm with you. I think this is worth another session if we can get enough people who literally want to break it down, for examples, because that's really where the rubber meets the road. It's like, okay, I get the concept, but how do I really apply it?
Well, and like we said earlier, if we don't have all the time in the world. So the first 5 people to email us based on this episode, we will book a time over the next couple of months, right? It's the holidays, so it might take us a little bit, but over the next couple of months to spend some time with you in creating your own action catalyst around living your dream now.
Yes.
And if you haven't left us a review and you've been listening to our podcast, those who have listened to a review, thank you so much. And if you haven't,
we love you.
We still love you, but we really want you to go do it. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify doesn't do it, but or just share it with a friend. We love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.